You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast.
What is happening, everybody? Hope everybody's having a great Tuesday afternoon. And folks, we are going to cover the State of the Union after this. Luckily, my guest was smart enough to remind me, because we were supposed to have him on at 8. He's like, hey, man, State of the Union's at 8. So we have him on a little bit early, and we're going to have a great show. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, and we're going to make sure you guys get included in that. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, you know the things. Down in the description below, if you want to become a member, we always appreciate that. So if you'd like to become a member and support the channel, I think it's between like $3 and $6. However you want to go with that, make sure you're following us on X as well. And also down in the description below, the Misfit Patriot, we have all his links, so make sure you go give him a follow. I do want to say hi to everybody over in the chat already. I want to say hi to Ruger Rouge, Mad Hatter AC, Stargazer 990, Lace. I'm praying for you, girl. I hear you hurt your back, and I hope you're feeling better. Thank you for showing up to help mod. And I want to make sure, I always forget, I want to make sure that I say hi to the mods out there and appreciate what you guys do and what you guys do to support this channel. We couldn't do that without you. We got a lot of weirdos over in the chat, and that has to be regularly regulated. So I appreciate all that stuff. Real quick, before I bring our guest on, I am going to play a quick video that I pulled from the Dan Bongino show today. If you're following me on X, you've probably already seen it, but it's worth watching again. And we're going to throw this up there real quick. I'm just going to, oops. Stay behind there, Zach. Shh. Quiet. Freaking weirdo. I'm not supposed to.
The language distracts from you, but I can think of no other New York way to say it than fuck.
All right. So again, you're going to hear some language from Dan, probably hear some language from Zach and me today. With that being said, what he's saying is very relevant, and he's pointing this directly at the Candy Cult crew out there. So today was the first time that he really addressed it, and multiple times throughout the show. If you haven't watched today's show, he covered a lot of different ground on this and much more. And those are the things that Zach and I are going to talk about today as well. But listen to this.
You motherfuckers. You deserve to feel the little licks of the flames of hell on every inch of your body. Fuck you. If there's an afterlife, and I believe there is. I believe in the second creation. I don't pretend to be the judge and jury, but I know you're not in it. I got to tell you, I've been doing this for a really long time now. And as I said in the beginning of the show, I walked into the dark forest. I didn't know where it's going to go. I did not have this all mapped out because I don't know what to say. People have tried being nice. People have tried screaming and yelling. People have tried a middle of the road approach. Nothing works. Ignore it. It metastasizes. Address it. It metastasizes. I wish I had the answer. I can only make decisions for me. I can't make decisions for you as to what you want to watch or what you don't. This isn't about views or who's popular or who's this. I don't care. I'm just telling you I'm making a decision for me now. I don't want to be any part of that. If you're part of that, please leave. If it is half my audience disappears tomorrow, good riddance.
Amen.
Sayonara, motherfuckers. I don't want you. Nobody else wants you here. The people who watch this show don't want you here. Sane people, and that is a majority of us, hate your guts. We don't want you. Nobody wants you. You were the spawn of Satan. I promise your parents, alive or dead, are looking at you now in horror that they spawned the demon. Your last name will live in infamy. Your kids will deny knowing you. I don't want anything to do with you. I see you out there. I know exactly what you're doing. You can just go. It's not an airport. You don't have to announce your fucking departure. Just go. I'm the anti-clicks of you guys. I don't want you. Your views, your clicks, nothing. Don't buy anything. Don't do anything. Don't touch anything we do. Just go away. I know you can't because you have to spread your cancer everywhere. But we've got warriors in this audience too, who don't want to listen to your fucking bullshit either. Are we clear with each other? You can just get the fuck out.
Yep, I couldn't agree more, man. Like, what is going on and how evil this entire thing has become with Candace Owens and the psyop that's behind it and the way that it's meant to target the conservative right in multiple different ways. And Zach and I will talk about that. But Zach, what do you think about that? And then after that, your reaction to that. Tell us a little about who you are and how you got involved and why you decided to, I don't know, subject yourself to the abuses of social media and conservative politics.
Get to that. I got a bone to pick with Dan because I don't think he's ever made me like tear up, but I was getting choked up when I was watching that live earlier. And also shout out to my very good friend Sean Farish, who's on that episode. We do a show every Wednesday, and I'm going to be actually joining LFA TV next week as a new host. So it's just perfect that you played that clip. Now, as far as the candy cult, we'll get to that. Why I exist on the internet is completely out of spite, right? Like I'm not even exaggerating. I was on TikTok because my ex-girlfriend's kid was like, "You're funny and you talk politics. Go make a TikTok." And I was like, "TikTok sucks," but I did it anyway, and it blew up. I got 100,000 followers, and then the woke left. They tried to cancel me, so they got the account taken down. 700 negative business reviews on my business page, and all because I triggered some woke leftist creator who was part of that social justice warrior club, and and they all did the whole fucking gang stalking, whatever. So I basically exist out of spite because I decided I was going to keep making accounts and say you're not kicking me off of this app. So I actually hold the record for the most banned person on the internet. I made 367 TikTok accounts in a year. And joking, I would make 10 a day. I just kept making them. They kept banning me. Some of them got up to 50,000. Some of them got 10,000. I was making some that were getting banned before I got 5 followers. But that's pretty much what happened was I didn't know what cancel culture was. I got the shirt here. It says "fuck cancel culture." This is my logo because I didn't realize how the internet works. And this actually ties into what we're going to be talking about, right? Where it's like you have these creators who essentially build cults, right? They build a cult, and the cult is there to attack or support their narrative or follow the leader or whatever. So, I said something, I made a joke about some fucking dude. I was like, "Is this guy a pedophile?" It was just a joke. And I'm telling you, man, the amount of like harassment and craziness, it hit me. And fast forward, years later, Candace Owens blocked me. I called her out a few times, and I've had her cult come after me. And as I was telling you backstage, I actually do a show every Thursday called Hate Mail Thursday, where we go through my inbox because I get so much hate mail. This has been a nonstop thing, and we try to figure out whether or not the person who's sending me hate mail is on the left or the quote right, like basically like a Candace Owens follower or like a Harry Sisson follower. And ironically, the most hate I get and the most visceral hate I get is from the fucking candy cult.
Yeah.
And Dan's right, he's, I can't fault him for being about, 8 months too late on this, because this is stuff that I was saying a year and a half ago. I think I made a post where I was like, everyone, Tim Pool called Candace Owens a cunt, and I was like, me in 2022 calling Candace Owens a cunt, right? Like I was onto this very early, but you can't fault these people for being late to the party, because they did for a while consider it infighting. And Dan now has very accurately pointed out that this is not infighting. These people are not in the movement. They never really were in the movement. I say that this is an audience capture, like, type of grifter, like that can move between parties. Because if you know the history of Candace Owens, she started out as a woke leftist who created a doxing website against MAGA. Then Donald Trump started gaining popularity, and she jumped over and started talking about conservative issues. And then she started jumping in on TPUSA. Then you have the war in Israel, where the the popular thing, the psyop, was Israel's committing genocide. So she jumps on that bandwagon. And then she sees Ian Carroll getting a bunch of followers, and she realizes conspiracy culture is actually where you get a lot of views. And so audience capture essentially drives her content. She will move and ebb and flow with the audience, which is why she talks about what she talks about. But she's also fucking schizophrenic. I call her schizophrendis because she's really also crazy. Like I'm not even... I think that there are some people like Tucker Carlson, like Nick Fuentes, who are like nefarious and intentional. I think that she's intentional and crazy. So she's like a lone wolf in this. I think that she's going so far where she is going to lose everything to these lawsuits. And that's what I'm really excited to see, hopefully down the road.
Yeah, I think we're all ready for some justice in that regard. She's been able to go kind of unimpeded, if you will, and she was not dissuaded at all by some cease and desist from Turning Point USA.
No, a normal person would be. She's crazy.
Yeah, well, and here's what I actually talked about this last night. My concern is that we know that her business and her life and her husband's wealth, they're going to be structured to where his wealth is going to be untouchable in those lawsuits. So I think part of her calculus, and I agree with you, I think there is, I know I have to put out this disclaimer. I'm not a psychologist, a psychiatrist, or anybody else that can actually diagnose anybody. Hopefully you guys understand that. But I agree with you. I think she probably is schizophrenic. There's definitely some...
At least bipolar, something. That is not a normal human being.
No. I don't think that she has ever had to face any sort of consequences whatsoever. I think she grew up extremely privileged. She has went from one job to the next, to the next, to the next, and was privileged and protected while she was there. And I think the one thing I think this Macron case is going to be the first time that she's held accountable for anything, and we'll see what that amounts to. And of course, I do think and I hope that TPUSA definitely holds her to task and takes her to court.
They're going to sue her. The funny thing about the Macron case, right, is, Brigitte Macron could have a dick and Candace Owens will still lose that lawsuit.
Yeah.
Right. Because she said that Brigitte Macron is her brother, who's very much alive.
Yeah. Right.
And there's like, look, I'm a free speech absolutist. I believe you are too. But I also think that defamation exists for a reason. It's because, when you are allowed to lie about people unfettered and use a platform to weaponize slander and smears against people, you have to remember that Candace Owens is named in 2 shooters' manifestos as the inspiration for why they went on a fucking killing spree. One of them said that she was the main inspiration. And it's because of her thoughts, her exposing the JQ, the Jewish question, right? So she's, in my opinion, a stochastic terrorist, right? Where she's actually, I think she knows that she's doing it, and I think that some of the motivation behind this. I was talking about this in an earlier interview this morning with Ben Dykes, and I was saying the reason that people like her do this is because they have a God complex, right? If they can inspire somebody to commit some type of act against somebody else, then they feel powerful, right? So I think what would make her day is if somebody tried to assassinate Erica Kirk. I think that that's where she would feel fulfilled in her role, because I don't think that she's doing this for money, fame, or attention. I think it's a power thing. I think it's a control thing.
Yep. And influence, and to see what she can get out of it. I've said that multiple times. I don't think this is about money for her. I don't think it's about even views and clicks. I think she's trying to exert her power and to see how far that can go and to see how much influence she can garner through all this stuff. And
that's what cancel culture is altogether. Cancel culture really is control culture. That's what a lot of them is. It's social justice warriors. It's how can I control somebody else's speech, thought, movements, restrictions, job, employment, income, what have you. I mean, what they did to me, they got me banned off of Stripe, Square. They got my website taken down. They try to hurt your business because it's a control thing. And I think that Candace has always been that way. That's why her first course of action on the internet was a doxing website. She has not changed her stripes. She's just hidden under the radar and snuck into the conservative movement. And then when she sucked it all dry, especially, and I think when Charlie died, that was a catalyst of her to just be able to be completely, there's nobody that can stop her. because Charlie would have been the only person that could get on a microphone and say, shut the fuck up. And she would have had to be like, damn.
No, I agree with that. And going back to what you were saying about how she knows that she can influence people to, she can point people in the direction to weaponize people. And she knows this. And we know that she knows this because when she was given the whole story of Tracy Martin and her daughter, who was the assistant of Erica Kirk, she specifically spent about 20 seconds saying, look, I don't want you to go after this girl. I don't want you to investigate her. Now, she's named a lot of other people and much more scandalous allegations, and she's never given that, that display.
Yeah, the whole like the wink wink, yeah.
And then, of course, Graham Allen completely came out with Tracy Martin, the source of this information, and debunked it. And what's crazy to me is that, the Candace cult is out there saying, basically calling Tracy Martin the source of the information and saying it wasn't debunked because the source of the information that allegedly that came second or third hand to Candace Owens, just because the source of the information says it wasn't true, doesn't mean it's not true.
Well, she's done something even more nefarious than that. She's when she was defending Andrew Tate, there was one of the women in Florida who's one of his alleged victims, right? That girl was sexually assaulted by a predator, a pedophile, who is in jail for the sexual assault. And Candace Owens was reading off this girl's name, who's like at the time she wasn't an underage victim, but she's reading off the victim's name, full name, but not saying the name of the actual pedophile.
That is,
and it's like
no less.
That's
He was
convicted.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think that she's smart enough to know what she's doing, but again, something is mentally wrong with her, right? Like it's obviously a joke, right? But I say we're 6 months away from Candace Owens dancing in her kitchen with knives to Kanye music like Britney, because she should have a conservatorship. Where's her husband? What is going on? Like, and look, I'm not doing that shit that the left does where it's like call CPS and everything like that. No, Don't do that. Don't do that. That's none of our fucking business. However, I am going to say, what the fuck? Like, who's raising it? Like, is that household safe? I don't know. But none of my business.
Yeah. One of the things too, when it comes to, I love the false narrative that they're trying to make with like, well, how is Erica raising her kids? She's out all the time. She's traveling. She's doing this. She's doing that. When she's like on television or in front of cameras, like 1/100th the time that Candace Owens is. I don't know what Erica Kirk is doing. Maybe she's not with her kids the entire time. But what I do know is that you're comparing somebody that I might see. I mean, half the clips that we see all came from one or two instances from the last from when Charlie Kirk was killed, and it's always cut up and kind of spread out. So I understand if you're an idiot. I understand that your perception is she's all over the place everywhere. And of course, Candace constantly brings her up. But we can definitively say, like, literally 1/50th to 1/100th the time that she's spending in front of cameras compared to Candace Owens. And we're questioning what Erica Kirk has done with her kids, but we never question what's going on with Candace Owens' kids. Either way, but she's completely out of touch with when you sit there and say that toddlers don't wake up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that is what you
use as proof. Like, anybody with a brain out there, I don't care if you follow Candace or not, you have to admit that is somebody saying this is completely out of touch with actually raising their younger kids. That doesn't make sense at all.
What's really concerning to me is, like, I'm sure you get this too, right? Is the people that follow her, it's very easy to be dismissive and say that they're bots and shit like that, but they're not. Like, these mommy sleuths, like, these are crazy middle-aged women who have nothing to do. They're sitting in their house drinking a glass of wine at 1:00 in the afternoon while their kids are knocked out in a crib. And they'll jump into my comment section and be like, yeah, Erica's going to jail. And I'm like, oh, are you fucked? Like, what are you talking about? Right? Because, like, look, it's hard to say, like, do this without getting extremely emotional, especially, like, I don't know Erica, but I'm watching a woman who watched her husband get murdered, who's doing the best she can, trying to fulfill his legacy, trying to honor her husband, doing the right thing, going out and getting attacked constantly. And I know how these fucking women are. They are probably up her ass with a microscope. They're probably stalking her. They're probably sending her death threats. They're probably doing all this shit. It's really hard. Because look, I try to let most things on the internet roll off my back. I mean, I get death threats probably 3 times a day. But when I see it happening to Erica, I think a lot of people are feeling this way. It's like, how demonic do you have to be to know that you're inspiring that behavior and then just sit there and giggle like, like when she had that dude on her podcast and they cocked their head back like they were fucking seagulls in a Pixar movie. It really, and we're giving her exactly what she wants by talking about it. But the other option, not talking about it, is how it metastasizes.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out how to talk about it the right way, which is condemning it and inspiring other people to step up and stand up. Because I think what happens is eventually, I know it takes a while, but eventually she's going to be like Icarus flying too close to the sun. It will be the death of her, like not literally, I'm just talking metaphorically, but she's going to take this to the furthest possible level, which leads to her, like I said, dancing in her kitchen with knives to a Kanye album. It's where it goes.
Well, her biggest weakness is that she can't admit that she's wrong. And no matter how ridiculous her original claims was, instead of admitting she's wrong and moving on, she has to double down. Yeah. And that's what she's done with the Mitch Snow stuff. That's what she's done with the Egyptian plane stuff. You saw her started putting some distance between her and both of those two topics. And then
right after the meeting,
people kept bringing it up. And then she's like, no, I'm telling you, the Egyptian planes are legit. This guy is wrong. Kenekoa the Great, he did a great job just completely dismantling that nonsense. And then, of course, me and several other folks dismantled what happened with Mitch Snow. But yet she has to double down. And now, I don't know if you've seen this, what they're alluding to is that Mitch Snow has pictures of Erica Kirk at Fort Huachuca. That's what they're trying to say, that she's going to drop these receipts.
They're not AI at all.
Look, she doesn't have any photos because, first of all, like, number one, most importantly, Erica Kirk was not there. Number two, if she did have photos, she would have dropped it when we were all coming after her on this subject. She would have dropped them right then and there, or at least very soon afterward. So now, just to keep this thing alive, to try to redeem some of her credibility on that particular topic, now she's dripping it out. Well, Baron Coleman has alluded to that they have photos, another one of her simps. But I digress. But I think you're right. But getting off the Candace Owens thing.
She's giving her enough attention. But real quick, before we move on, the funny thing is, you bring up a good point about how if you really paid attention, right after the meeting with Erica Kirk and the lawyers, she came out and she sort of pulled it back. And she's like, I was maybe wrong about some things, this, that, and her audience chewed her up. And this is the problem with audience capture and a narcissistic personality, right? Yeah. She knows she's screwed, but she cared more about what a bunch of randoms on the internet, a bunch of NPCs on the internet were saying than her own self-preservation. So she's literally just doing this because she doesn't know how to get out of it. And I'm telling you, the way she's going to get out of it is a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. And as far as her husband's money, if her husband divorces her, she's fucked. And her husband's wealth, it's not his wealth yet. Her father-in-law does not like her. And he might just cut them off. He might say, you know what? Divorce her or you don't get your inheritance. And if she loses, if she loses $10, $15 million in a lawsuit, bam, they're done.
We can only hope. Yeah, no, going back to right after the meeting, and I have that clip cut somewhere. She comes out and says, look, folks, I'm telling you right now, Charlie was definitively shot from the front. It was a 30-06. She said it was a fragmenting round. I think she didn't say frangible, but that's what she meant. So it was a frangible round. It, hit his spine and it just, broke up. Look, and she went on and affirmed that multiple times. And just like you said, it right down in the comments, everybody was abandoning her. They were jumping ship. They were talking smack about her. And then a couple days later, she's right on you're going to tell me he was shot with a 30-06? Oh, the magic bullet theory. She was recycling all that information. But going Candace to me is a symptom of something you and I were talking about just before we went live. And I think this is the real problem. And I've mentioned this multiple times. Like, I don't care about Candace.
Yeah,
what I do care about is the fact that if somebody that's as unsophisticated and unconvincing as Candace can convince so many millions of Americans here in this country, we have a real problem and we need to highlight it. And then on top of that, what we have is, I do think that we have both political and foreign adversaries that are hijacking this. And you said something earlier. I'll disagree with you. I don't know exactly what you're saying. Hey, it's not bots. Look, I could tell you, you can go through some of my comments, and I promise you, I have 100. Any post I put, I get these. It's clearly bots.
To clarify, what I'm saying is it's not all bots.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
Yeah, there are definitely bots. Look, I also said that I think that the psyop that's being pushed on these people, right? So here's how audience capture works. Here's how a psyop, like, let's say you wanted to push a psyop that Israel's committing a genocide, right?
Sure.
And you wanted to infiltrate the MAGA movement with that so that they start parroting the same thing that the Free Palestine people are saying, so you can fracture the right. What you would probably do is you would probably get a bunch of bots and a bunch of sock accounts to start flooding these content creators' accounts with Israel's committing a genocide. Israel's committing a genocide. Now, with
sharing their content.
Correct. So with a personality like Tucker Carlson, right? He's going to be like, well, this is clearly what's on people's minds. I think I'm going to start leaning into it. And then when they start parroting those talking points, right, they start getting positively rewarded with engagement, views, likes, reshares, bots, all sorts of stuff. This is why Ian Carroll gets 10,000 likes before he's even done typing, right? There is a psyop that is being used with bots and fake engagement 100%. What I'm saying specifically with Candace is she also has an actual cult of mommy sleuths who are real people who are really doing this really crazy shit. So it's a mixture of both.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it is very well funded. And I think because all this murder mystery / sideshow act that's going on. This is the same people that watched Jerry Springer are the same type of people that watch Jerry Springer, that watch soap operas every single day, that watch the Lifetime murder mysteries. This is like a choose your own adventure. Now you get to participate in all this stuff.
Yeah.
Same psychology that captures these people into that type of content.
Yeah,
there's
sensationalism.
There's a reason why Jerry Springer was the #1 show on TV. Not because we thought it was good, not because we thought we were hearing the truth. And it's the same reason that these you're never going to see a documentary, no matter how great it is, as a box office smash compared to a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
So this is entertainment, and it also is a lot like pornography in that people get to satiate the worst parts about them. That mean high school gossip girl. Hey, I can talk shit about this person that I feel like is on this pedestal, and it's going to make me feel better about my life, myself, my morality. Like all of the worst attributes that every single human being has, this entire thing allows them to scratch that itch, if you will. And it's pornography in the worst type of way.
Well, the big difference is between like Howard Stern and Jerry Springer and, this like sensationalist, guilty pleasure, shock jock, extreme kind of behavior. Whereas when it's just a guilty pleasure, when it's something that you're just watching to satiate your own, just like immoral, carnal urges, right? What's happening now is it's being coupled with a political weaponization where they're targeting people. And now it's interactive. It's not like Jerry Springer where it's a one-way thing. You're watching a TV, the TV's not talking back to you, right? You're watching the TV. Now it's the comment section. Now it's Candace reading. And now she's saying things like, "Oh, yeah, that's interesting." And you're now involved. Now you're like, I'm part of Candace's team.
And you can get on the internet and do your own sleuthing and then send in some tips and help the entire investigation now. So it is the perfect psyop. But I think, like you said, Candace herself, I don't think she met with a bunch of people and the globalists and came up
No.
with it. I think she was doing it for all the reasons that you and I laid out. And now it's just being hijacked and pushed because there's multiple people multiple entities that are going to benefit from this, because ultimately this hurts TPUSA. It hurts Erica Kirk, which that is the pleasure of Candace and her followers, but it hurts TPUSA, the most powerful conservative political movement in the United States, period. It's what got Trump elected. It ultimately hurts the Conservative Party, and it ultimately hurts MAGA and Trump. And so there's lots of people that are going to hijack this and exploit this and use it and weaponize it in a way that, and my point here is she's just the first of many. When they sit back and look how successful this was, they're going to create another one, and it's going to be even more sophisticated. There's going to be somebody at the head of it that is more compelling, more interesting. And that's what the American people need to realize, because
that's why Tucker Carlson is so dangerous, because of his proximity to the White House. It's one thing when there's some crazy former TPUSA employee doing it. It's another thing when it's somebody who has JD Vance's phone number, right? And I'm not saying that JD Vance I'm not saying that Tucker is going to sway JD Vance. I'm saying it's close enough where you should at least be worried about it. And you don't know if Tucker or Candace or Dave Smith or any of these people are actually even aware that they're engaged in a psyop. They might just be useful idiots for somebody with an agenda, and they're just dancing puppets. They don't even realize that they're in a show. But when it comes down to it, like you said, right, these things are done so that they, like, look, COVID was a dry run for totalitarianism. They wanted to see how far they could take it, and they took it pretty fucking far, right? And if we had a Kamala Harris presidency right now, we'd probably have another pandemic, and we'd probably have another shutdown, and we'd probably have another part 2. So the same thing applies here, right? They're basically just going, hey, let's see how far this goes, right? And that's the problem. I don't know exactly how you fix this, because the best way to fix it would be to get kind of totalitarian on the internet and just start, being like, all right, you know what? We need to identify all of you. You can't have bots. You can't have this. You can't have that. And then it becomes a, are we the good guys? We have too much power.
I'm all about eliminating bots. I don't think that's going to suppress anyone's free speech. With that being said, I do agree. Like, what we don't want, because I've heard people that are against Candace say things like, look, we got to get Facebook to shut them down, X, YouTube.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
And I don't look, the last thing that we want is a bunch of leftist activists, continuing to censor the internet more than it is. You and I have both been on the receiving end of that. I just had like 5 videos, by the way, just today that I found out were pulled. And I do think that it is Candace called mass reporting us. We've had multiple live streams pulled off while we're doing the live stream. And I also believe that it was because of mass reporting. So we don't want that. But with that being said, I think the only answer to this is just to speak truth to the lies and make sure that there's a counter narrative, because I do feel like that Candace is on the downslope. And when I decided to take this on back about mid-November, when I saw what she was doing, and I immediately saw it for what it was, I knew that this was a much larger psyop, and I started looking at what I thought was bot activity, what I thought was a political attack. And I could see the angles that all of our enemies, whether we're talking about political or actually foreign adversaries, how they could use this. And just like the original Yuri Bezmenov tactics of, hey, the way to destroy a movement is to do it from within the inside.
Exactly.
And that's what's going on. Speaking of that, so I am curious to hear your thoughts on, because I've been trying to wrap my head around this. Tucker is somebody that I've followed, loved for a really long time. There's two podcasts that I listened to religiously, and that was Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson, just about every single day until about 3 months ago. And I started seeing and I was hoping it was in denial. Like, I was like, maybe Tucker doesn't mean it that way.
I did the same thing.
It's like,
it took me, I was late. My followers were telling me, and I was like, nah. I go, nah. And that's the thing.
You're not listening to the whole podcast.
You didn't hear his gaslighting. You didn't listen to the gaslighting? What do you mean? You didn't. He said he doesn't hate Jews. It's clear, obviously. So, the thing about Tucker, somebody, I can't remember who, somebody, I think it might have been Seth Dillon, I can't remember. They nailed it. They nailed it perfectly about Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly. They said these are people, and Don Lemon, these are people that are former TV hosts, right, for news networks, where they're used to a production team coming in and putting the whole show together, and then they sit in a desk and they read a teleprompter and everything's prepared for them, and then they get fired, they get thrust into the internet space, and they go, what do I pull from what we used to do at this organization, which was, oh, we focus on the sensationalized content, right? Like white girl goes missing, we play that on a loop 24/7, right? And what they do is they take that personality, but they don't have any of the restrictions of the FTC or the FCC coming at them if they lie, right? Right? Like, so they don't have any guardrails, but they have the same drive to push sensationalized content that keeps viewers engaged. So basically, I think what Tucker Carlson is doing is it's a business model. He's like, he knows what he's doing. It's completely different than Candace. Candace is, like I said, fucking out there. Tucker Carlson, I think, is way more methodical. And I think that he knows he's lying. I think that he's intentionally pushing propaganda because he sees the return on investment based on the views and the clicks it's generating. That's what I think is going on, because the people that are like, he's paid by Qatar, maybe it's just much simpler than that. Maybe he just realizes that the anti-Israel narrative is popular and he's riding it into the fucking dirt.
Yeah, I mean, that could absolutely be. I feel like there's been a genuine philosophical change in Tucker.
Yeah, he's scratched by a demon.
And and he's definitely, where the scales were pulled off my eyes was during Charlie Kirk's memorial.
Yes.
When he sits there and he started talking about, there's some guys sitting in the back
sitting around
eating hummus. I was like, oh my God. And then later on, he was like, I wasn't talking about the Jews. Like, what are you talking about? Like, come on. You might as well said these guys sitting around in the back room eating hummus, planning his death with their little
spinning dreidels with tiny hats.
Yeah, like lighting cigars off the freaking menorah. I'm not.
I don't think they're gold.
Like, and that's the thing that has always offended me the most about this whole Candace thing too. Is like when you're sitting there and you're insulting my intelligence, when you want to sit there and pretend you're not alleging what you are, and you're making a definitive accusation, and then you throw a question mark on the end of it and be like, oh, I'm just asking questions. No, you're not. And by the way, like, we had Andrea Burkhardt, who's a great lawyer, defense lawyer, on. Folks, that does not, just so in case you guys have platforms out there, when you start making these allegations in the form of questions, that is just like a statement as well, and that doesn't hold up in court. And I think Candace is going to find out about that. But when it comes to Tucker, so you just think like this is just a business decision, and it's kind of like the WWE.
Yeah, no, I think that Tucker is stuck in a misunderstanding of how podcaster journalism works, right? I don't think that he was ever an actual journalist, right? Like, he's a TV host essentially, right? Like, a journalist is somebody that does research and goes out and really dives deep. But Tucker was more of like the face that read the prompter. Like, and Sean Hannity says this all the time. He goes, I'm not a journalist, I'm a TV host. Tucker Carlson, same thing. So I think that, and Megyn Kelly, same thing. I think that what he thinks he's doing is, I'm going to give my opinion. My opinion is controversial and it's getting me a lot of attention. And I think that these are tough questions that should be asked. And I'm just asking questions. And I'm being rewarded for it because, his show's doing really well. And he has, like I said, when you have a PSYOP, when you have an audience capture PSYOP, they're basically rewarding bad behavior, right? The people that are in charge of the PSYOP. Tucker Carlson might not he doesn't have a Qatari handler, but there might be somebody in Qatar going, throw a bunch of bots at this post. He's going to get more money for his engagement. You see what I'm saying? The whole going to Russia and like interviewing Putin, you go, oh yeah, no, he should definitely do that. But then the next day going, the fucking grocery stores here are so clean and the subways are so nice. And it's like, yo, but they make like 1/15 of the money we do. Right. It seems like he's promoting propaganda when you get there. Then you go with, who is his audience? He just went to Israel and he stayed in the airport to interview Mike Huckabee. And then he talked to a Palestinian in Florida when he could have actually talked to a Christian in Israel. So I'm thinking that he knows that if he was to debunk himself, then he would be exposed. So he plays ignorant. And I think that he's doing it. Yes, I think he's doing it intentionally.
Well, I think you hit on the key point behind all of this, at least for me, and that is on the bot activity. Like you're saying, it incentivizes them because there are people that can hijack that. Just like you said, if they're talking shit on Israel, somebody in Qatar, the UAE, Iran, they can pay for a bunch of bots to promote his stuff and then they, without ever having to collude with them or to talk with them or to plan with them, they're like, oh, well, that segment did really well. I need to do more of that. And then on top of that, those same bots are going around and down voting and attacking all of his opposition, which is exactly what we see. I don't care if you're talking about Tucker, I think especially Candace or Megyn Kelly, it's all one big thing. And then I see the same thing happening with, Candace's surrogates, the Baron Coleman's out there, the freaking Coach Collins, all these people that were nobody that are like inexplicably getting hundreds of thousands of views. And you watch their content, and you're like, this doesn't even make sense, but it's happening. And I
thought it was very interesting because I saw the Erica Kirk trailer, her little expose, and I go, okay, she's got Jimmy Dore, Tim Dillon, and Dave Smith. I go, okay, so you got former liberal who sort of weaseled his way into the MAGA movement, former liberal who sort of weaseled his way into the MAGA movement, and current libertarian who weaseled his way into the MAGA movement. Any fucking conservatives in there? No. Right? Because that's the thing. These people, and this is what I explained earlier to Ben, right? What happens with these types of people, like the Dave Smiths, the Jimmy Dores, and like even like the Andrew Schultzes, right? What they do is they go, okay, the MAGA movement actually looks pretty cool, right? But then they start giving their suggestions, which are very liberal suggestions to how we should do shit. And then MAGA goes, fucking no. Right? Like, actually, we do want to deport every single fucking illegal. I don't care if it's your grandmother or not. And they go, whoa. This isn't what I signed up for. No, it's not. That's the point. We let you in the tent if you wanted to do it our way. You don't want to do it our way. So don't tell us the tent is the fucking problem. You wanted to be in the tent.
It's exactly like the people that moved from California to Texas to escape. And now they want to turn Texas into California.
Correct. It's the exact same thing.
Philosophically, the same thing. Let me hit just a couple of super chats here that we got going on. I'm convinced Candace Owens wants Erica deleted. Just look at her comment section. They are posting Erica's next. I'm convinced that's the end goal evil.
I think that's exactly right.
I agree with you, Tammy. I think there is a certain element. I believe that there is a certain part of Candace that would be ecstatic. It would give her such a elation and a high if she thought she could have made that happen. So
yeah, because she'd feel like God.
Like Zach, I think you and I could agree. I would rather just somebody kill me than spend the time that she has spent trying to destroy their lives, their reputations, everything that Charlie built. I mean, I think what Candace has done with this, and now what Tucker and Megyn are doing to the conservative movement, I think that is more evil than murder itself. That's just my opinion.
I have a theory on that.
Yeah.
And let me know if this tracks. Okay. If there is a psyop, right, and this is very specifically tailored for this purpose, right? Candace is going after TPUSA. And what does TPUSA do? TPUSA gets out the youth vote, right? You also have Tucker Carlson, who's going after neocons, right? And not specifically quote neocons that are in the Trump orbit, right? He attacks Lindsey Graham, he attacks people in the administration. And then you have people like Thomas Massey, who's trying to push the Epstein files, and that's going after the vote of the people who will stay home if Trump doesn't find a smoking gun. If you really think about it, right, the people that are making these strategic attacks on MAGA and sort of splitting the party, they're all splitting the vote. This is all. I mean, this could all be about the midterms and how to get, if you demoralize and you get people to stay home, that's the only way Democrats can win, because Democrats don't have anything to fucking run on. The only way they win is if we don't show up.
No, and that was the thing. So again, when I was investigating the whole Charlie Kirk thing till mid-November, I wasn't paying. I had no idea what Candace was saying. And then somebody sent me a clip where she said something along those lines of, she started directing the attention at the U.S. government, and she was already doing it. But I'm just saying, this is when I first noticed, early to mid-November. And she said something about, I'm not going to be voting in the midterms. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, holy
Nick Fuentes.
Like, this is what this is about, actually. This isn't about Charlie Kirk. And now I think she's redirected her attention and ire toward Erica out of like bitchy woman spite. It has nothing to do with the PSYOP or anything else. I mean, it plays into it, but I think this is her own.
Sure, but you got Nick Fuentes, Owen Schroyer, Candace Owens, and a whole bunch of other people saying, stay home, stay home, stay home, stay home. Dave Smith, stay home, stay home, stay home, stay home, stay home, stay home. And you got people like me who are going, hey, I'm building a website called Midterm Cheat Sheet so that you know exactly how we win in November, so we don't give power back to the people that just ruined your fucking lives for 4 years, right? So I'm fighting the battle on the left, which is already over. The left is defeated. They're literally done. And now we have this completely new entity that just shows up and says, hey, the left doesn't have any policies, but we can get you guys to stay home. And I think that that's intentional. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying it would make sense.
Yeah, I don't know that's a conspiracy. It's just a plan, and it's working. And it's more effective. It's working better than I thought it was. And whether you want to call it a conspiracy or whatever else, the fact is, let's put a pin in that for a second. I want to talk about that some more. But Candy, G.I. Jen, I saw your DM. I will respond to that, and the answer is yes. Candy is likely a malignant narcissist. Just finished article explaining how closely her behavior fits diagnosis and how she manipulates her audience. Yeah. So on Thursday, we're going to be talking about just that, and we will have a behavioral psychologist, and we will be talking about that.
Her response to Graham Allen was exactly what a narcissistic abuse technique fits into, where it's because Graham Allen was like, I'm not saying silent anymore. And Candace was like, you're a pedophile.
Yep. I thought you were referencing a response after he released that interview, which I hadn't really seen her do that yet. I'm curious to see what she comes up with tomorrow. William Butcher, 153. I just watched the UAP episode that you did. Did you watch the Sean Ryan interview with the guy who got a letter from the guy who bombed the Trump Hotel? What did you think? I haven't seen that. Tomorrow night, we are going to have, and I always screw up his name, so I want to get it right. And hopefully you guys tune in tomorrow. His name is Pete. I am so freaking bad with people's names.
Yeah, same here.
I literally was just talking about him before the show. And anyways, I will get that up. But here, you know what? I know where I got it. But tomorrow night, what we're going to be talking about is the Book of Enoch. We're going to be talking about UFOs. We're going to talk about how that correlates or corresponds with the Bible. I already know there's multiple things with that I disagree with. That being said, that he believes that I disagree with, I'm going to sit there and listen with an open mind and try to take it all in and see how it turns out at the end of that. And I'm still screwing this up. Anyways, stand by for the link. I'll have that up probably tonight. We're gonna have him on tomorrow, and I'm freaking pissed. I can't think of his name right now. But let me just scroll through here one last time.
Yeah, what do you think about the I call them chat GPT Christians, like the people that are running around with this replacement theology, supersessionism, and constantly using it to, like there's a lot of people that are doing it. And, one of the most recent ones is that Carrie Prejean chick that was on she was on the religious council, and she was like, I don't think that we should be Islamophobic, but also I would rather die than support Israel. And I'm like, these people, like, and Candace too. This is what I say about what I see going on with Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and others. They're new Christians, right? If you even want to call them that,
Yeah,
right? They're brand new. What they did was, I think they chat GPT'd the Bible, and I think that they are not realizing that they. There it is. Timothy. Yeah, somebody in the chat did get it right.
Alberino. All right, Timothy Alberino. We're going to have him on tomorrow night. Sorry, Tim. And make sure you guys go follow him, especially after I butchered his name so bad. Great guy, has a lot of great content. Come on, check it out. See what you think at the end of it. We'll talk about it. I'm sure he's open to us challenging him on certain things. It'll be a fun show. And guess what? We can go conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat, and no one's going to be attacked or, possibly killed like when you're dealing with the conspiracies that Candace is pushing out there. So a much more fun, lighthearted conspiracy.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, like I was just, trying to help fill the time while you were looking for that. But basically, I don't know. I think that there's a problem with when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there was a very strong revival that sort of started to manifest. And it feels like Candace, Tucker, some others, Nick Fuentes, and all these other people, it's like, feels like they almost like panicked and threw cold water on it as fast as humanly possible. And I think they actually did put out a lot of that spark that was growing.
Yeah. So first of all, there's a reason why most Christians are quote unquote Zionists. If you get into biblical scripture and you actually look at what the Bible says, not only in the Old Testament and the New Testament, but also in Revelation, it specifically talks about the people that are going to be in the land of Israel when Jesus returns and when we have the end times. So you're going to have a hard time biblically separating Jews as we know them today from the Jews of the Bible, and ultimately the Jews,
especially when they're supposed to be tied back in.
Exactly. So like there's a lot going on there. And the thing is I don't even I don't understand. Well, I do, but I just want people to see how dumb it is and how illogical it is when you sit there and say, like, I could be the biggest anti-Semite ever, and I could sit there and say that Israel wasn't involved in killing Charlie Kirk. Oh, you're paid $7,000. I hope you like those BB bucks. I hope you enjoy your shekels. And like when all of a sudden I'm inundated. And by the way, the weird thing about that is like a week after Charlie Kirk was killed, and people were coming out with things like the palm gun and the cell phone gun and the
tunnel and the beak
and the camera gun. I was making videos debunking this, like, hey, this is why that's not true. And immediately, this is like September 15th. And all of a sudden, I'm like, you're paid by Israel, $7,000. Well, at the time, I don't think the $7,000 trope was out, but you're paid by Israel. You're an Israel shill. This, like, he wasn't killed by a palm gun. We can't see a palm gun. We don't see a barrel. We don't see muzzle flash. We don't see recoil. The guy wouldn't be able to hit him from there with a palm gun that has no sights or anything else on there. It's like, I'm just telling you that as somebody that does guns for a living, that was a Green Beret that knows a thing or two. I'm just telling you that is absolutely ridiculous. And somehow you're going to say that I'm a traitor to my country and I'm being paid by Israel. Like, GFYS, man.
Well, the funny thing is like that was probably the most aggravating few weeks of debunking that I've had on the internet, because I literally was just like, I go, out of the two of us having this conversation, you say it wasn't a 30-06, I say it was. Out of the two of us, who has shot more living, breathing things? Because I guarantee you it's me, right? Like, I go hunting all the time. I have a 30-06 right there, and I have pulled a fucking round out of an animal that did not go through. Yeah. Right. So can it happen? Yes, I know for a fact because I've actually seen it. And there was, I was doing a bunch of this shit. Like I was debunking the Thomas Matthew Crooks Trump assassination thing because people were like, "You could have made that shot with a red dot," and I go, "Yes, he could have." And then I went to the range and did it, et cetera, et cetera. So it gets that gets. I think people like you and me were just like, we're like, "You stupid motherfuckers don't even know what you're talking about." But the conspiracy, like I said, the thing that and this is much bigger than Candace. I know we're centering this around Candace, but you have to remember that there was a kid that just went to Mar-a-Lago with a gas can and a shotgun and tried to kill Trump for the third fucking time. Because what happens with this conspiracy culture is these people are mentally fucking ill, right? Yeah. They're mentally ill. They're unstable people because they don't live in reality. If you believe some of this shit, you're probably not that bright. And if you're not that bright, you're probably not bright enough to think, hey, maybe I'll get shot if I show up to Mar-a-Lago with a gas can and a shotgun. So that's what's happening. And this is what the problem with Candace is. And again, I don't think that you should try to regulate stochastic terrorism. I don't think that you should take her off the internet. I don't think she should even be investigated or arrested. I definitely think she should be held civilly liable for defamation when she lies. But what she is doing and what other people are doing is they are inspiring their audience to commit acts of violence. There is no difference between Candace Owens saying things about Erica Kirk. If somebody tries to kill Erica Kirk, there's no difference between Candace inspiring that person than whoever the fuck inspired Tyler Robinson. And that's the fucking problem.
And agreed. And I'll tell you, it's been my experience that there are more crazy, unstable people following Candace right now than what I see on the crazy side of the left. I mean, that's just apparent to me. The like completely nuts comments, questions, responses that I continually see surrounding the entire Charlie Kirk thing, you are completely unhinged to believe half the stuff that these people are saying. Yeah. And just like you said, like these people are inherently ignorant about so many things from photography to ballistics. Like you don't know the basic thing about any of this stuff. And it's like, I don't even know where to begin with some of this.
I held a 6'5" Creedmoor full metal jacket that I put into a hog in my hand, and I said, I pulled this out of an animal, right? Like it's a living, breathing thing. And they go, yeah, but it blew up ballistics gel. Ballistics gel isn't a fucking person. It's literally just a bunch of silicone. But yeah, and that's the thing. If they are so confident in their ignorance, then they are confident enough to that they are actually believing this stuff, and if you run through the list, of, okay, B cult, tunnel, it was Israel, it was Egyptian planes, this, debunked. And no matter how many times she lies, they still tune in every day and believe her. That's an unstable human being listening to her. Candace Owens is unstable. That's a problem. The vast majority of her followers being unstable is a bigger problem.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely, and even when you prove, like, beyond all reasonable doubt for the average reasonable person that Candace lied, exaggerated, or whatever else, they will defend it no matter what. And that's how you know that you're dealing with a genuine cult behind so much of this stuff.
Correct.
Let me hit this other super chat and we will kind of move on. Let me see. Oh, I missed one. Long story short, he wrote a letter about the reason he bombed it because he was being followed by the feds. He said the U.S. has anti-gravity tech and so does China, and he did it to draw attention. Look, I'm a big believer in UAPs. I'm a big believer that whether we have it, I believe that there's, gravitic drives. I've been following a lot of people for a really long time. And I think there's some truth to this. What that truth is it alien tech? Maybe. Are all these stories to cover up a covert operation and or programs that we have in the U.S. that could also be true? We don't know what the truth is. What we do know is I think there's been too many people, and we've seen UAPs do extraordinary things that defy current known physics. They have been seen they've been seen by pilots, they've been recorded on radar and other instruments. So we know these things are happening. Whether you go look at the Tic Tac, whether you go look at the gimbal video, you can go listen to the testimony of Colonel David Fravor. There are very credible people that are now coming out, and also whistleblowers of multiple spectrums of the government, whether they be in the military, whether they be in other operations. We know for a fact, because of declassified programs like Project Blue Book, which was specifically designed to go out and create false narratives and to propagandize people, to undermine their stories, to destroy their credibility. These things are taking place. So I don't know what the answer is, but I enjoy the topic and I like exploring those things. And, when we get the chance, and because it's fun.
I have a story, Ben. And look, I wouldn't believe it if I didn't see it with my own eyes, but I was out doing a job in Catarina, which is right near the border, and we were on this, ranch. So there's no city lights, no nothing. So you just have that bright open sky where you can see all the stars. And I watched what I thought was a star zigzag across the sky in such a impossible speed. Like, you ever seen the Starlink things that they go in one line? Faster than that, and not in one direction, literally zigzagged across the sky. And I go, that's not a comet. That's something bouncing through the sky. And I have no idea what it was. Don't know if it was a alien or whatnot, but it did not make any sense. And I saw it with my own eyes. That was the weirdest thing.
Well, look, I mean, there are millions of credible people. We have a decent amount of videography at this point and photos. Look, there's a lot of hoaxes out there. Some of those hoaxes are just like we see in social media. Some of them are people that are intentionally trying to, create a grift off of they know that their people want to see pictures of UFOs. We know that there are hoaxes out there, and some of the stuff is manufactured. But then there's also, I think there are hoaxes out there that are intentional and possibly provided by the government to delegitimize everything else that everyone else is saying. So there's a lot going on. It's complex. It's not an easy subject. And if you just glance at it, and this is something I've been, in the periphery studying for many, many years, I think there's something to it.
Yeah, no, I'm open to it. I definitely don't think that those two little people that Mexico brought out to the house floor were actual aliens. But but other than that, I think it's definitely possible.
Speaking of grifts, I agree with you on that. I think those were, and by the way, there's been some very credible people that have debunked that are pro UAP, that they're seeing it for what it is. It's like, look, I believe in NHAs, non-human intelligence. I believe in UFOs, UAPs. I believe in all this stuff, but I'm just telling you that right there is a hoax. And
that literally looked like something out of Men in Black.
Tammy said, did you see Project Constipation went after you? Yes, I did. Trust me. He's tagging me on. I couldn't care less. And just like we expected him to do, he carefully edited clips and completely misrepresented what I said on the live stream yesterday. You guys were here. You guys know what happened. I sent him a link. He wanted to talk shit from the comment section. I sent him a link. I invited him to come on, and he could talk to me about whatever he wants to talk to me. And of course he didn't, because he's a coward. And he's one of the biggest lying grifters on the face of the planet, and I expect nothing less from him. So, and he also clipped where I carefully said, yeah, I've researched him because I did have a lawyer look at him, and I was going to sue him for defamation, and I found out where he lived, and I knew everything about him. And they clipped that like I was coming after him personally, where I also said, I did that for legal reasons, and I just want to make that very clear. I don't want anybody trying to dox him or anything like that. I had to throw that out there, but he made it sound like I was maliciously coming after him. The fact is I was going to sue him for defamation, but he doesn't own anything. All right. He's worth nothing, and it'd be a waste of my freaking time.
People don't realize, like, when you hear, like, why hasn't Erica sued Candace, or why hasn't it's really hard to sue for defamation, and it should be hard, right? Because free speech. But I think they're at the point now where they have it. I think that they're going to drop it.
They do, and they have for a really long time.
Yeah, they have.
The problem is they know that it's going to be 3 to 4 years.
Oh yeah.
They know that it's going to be millions of dollars.
Yep.
And the other problem that we run into, and this is just me speculating on most of this, by the way, they know the Macron case is going to happen, and if they sue Candace for all she's worth, what's left for them? Now they spent $2 million
100%.
after her, and they got nothing left
Well, I told you how the TikTok social justice warriors came after me. One of them that came after me also went after this woman who I know in Florida, and she's a millionaire, right? And she's suing him. He has no money, right? But she's suing him anyway out of principle, right? And it's been 3.5 years. They've spent over $2 million to get nothing, right? And it's still going on. So a defamation lawsuit, especially for something like online cyber stalking, which is what they're going after him for, it's a mess. It literally cost $2 million for over 3.5 years, and they're not getting that money. They know they're not getting that money.
Yeah.
That's like they literally just want to set legal precedent for other people to be able to sue in the future.
Well, and I think if I think the Macron case will do that, but
Yeah,
I would love to see TPUSA, and I think many of their donors would agree. A
Yeah.
majority, there'll probably be a donor out there be like, "Look, I will cover all the legal expenses. Just take her to task, and we want to see some justice on this." And then, like you said, most importantly, it would set a precedent, and ultimately,
and that actually really needs to happen. I was all the way down the legal representation route to do that with TikTok and these people, but again, I ran into the roadblock of it's going to cost you too much money, you won't get it back, and I can't do it, which is what the lawyers will tell you. I also, off topic a little bit, but I think it's funny. I don't know if you already know this. There's an account that points out how much Candace Owens' outfits are. You know how she's constantly talking about how much Erica Kirk makes. There's an account. I think it's Natalie something, and what she does is
Natalie Denise.
Yes, Natalie Denise, and she finds out how much Candace Owens' outfits cost. She's wearing $1,000 blouses, and she's wearing like these very expensive like designer clothes. And she's like, "Oh, I can't believe TPUSA is selling merch." It's like, bitch, you're fucking rich. Shut up.
Yeah. And by the way, they're a nonprofit, so they're selling merch so that they can get the vote out and
Correct.
do what Charlie wanted them to do.
I know.
At least they're not just padding their pockets.
It's wild.
It is wild. It's like the stupidity these people will stoop to point this stuff out. And it irritated me a lot when they were talking about, oh, they have Charlie's tent he was murdered in at the memorial. No, that tent represents his legacy. That is how Charlie Kirk was known. Like 90% of us that came across Charlie Kirk came across a video of him arguing with some, retarded leftists at a college campus, and that's what he was known for, and that represented who he was and his mission. It wasn't
symbolic. That prove me wrong will continue, right? And like that's the thing. It's like here are Erica Kirk's options, right? Let his legacy die and make Candace Owens happy, or honor her husband and get attacked by Candace. It's a fucking lose-lose.
Yeah.
And she's doing,
say, the tent wasn't supposed to be some macabre picture moment, right?
Yeah, I know. And like I said earlier, man, it's like Dan Bongino got me choked up, because when you really think about it, you just think about this woman who's been through hell. I've lost both my parents and my brother. I know what it's like. I've lost friends. I've lost a lot of people, and I know what it's like. And right after I lost my dad was when the woke mob came for me, and it compounded. And it was like, so I kind of, empathize with her. It's like, I know what it's like to be attacked while you're already going through grief. And trust me, it sucks, man. So I think there's a special place in hell for Candace and her followers.
Yeah. And again, I think Dan did a great job. He didn't talk about Candace very much today.
No, he made it general.
Well, he made it general when he was referencing her, but he was more specific when he was referencing her followers. And I think that's where the attention needs to be brought, because they're the problem, as we laid out earlier. Like, I'm no longer even interested in attacking Candace. It really is too easy of a target. And now you start seeing all these like rap video things come out. Look, she has a past that is 10 times worse than anything they can dig up on Erica. And if people want to do that, I'm not going to engage in that. But I think
me neither.
I think it's warranted. And
my strategy with Candace was to expose her early and then not talk about her. Hopefully she could give herself enough rope to hang herself with. And I think we're seeing that happen in real time. I stopped really talking about her a couple months ago.
Well, I was done talking about her after the Mitch Snow thing, but then she came after me personally and started trying to say, and I've been mentioned the obscure YouTuber. I've been mentioned on like 6 or 7 episodes, either by name or Paramount Tactical or the obscure YouTuber. And at that point, I'm like, nope, I'm fighting back. And now I'm not done. Now I'm not done. Now I'm coming back after you, because when you want to say that I'm paid by TPUSA, she said that specifically. I was paid by TPUSA. She said that I was hired directly by Erica Kirk for PR. And when you're trying to undermine my credibility, you know, the difference between us and them, I almost said the left, but there really is no difference. The difference between us and them, to undermine our credibility, they have to lie. For us to undermine theirs, all we have to do is tell the truth. And that's the big difference. Let me throw this up there. Well, thank you very much, KSHJ Hawk 62. We appreciate you. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. Going back to the bigger part of this, why do you think this woke right, whatever you want to call it, this whole network of influencers that are trying to black pill the right, what do you think their ultimate goal is to allow? Because the goal is to let the left win.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out why.
Well, have you heard my definition of woke right? I think that this is
I haven't.
All right. So all right, basically woke means awake, okay? And it was a movement that was started in like the 90s by the black community who were awake to the oppressor of the white man, right? And it was adopted by the woke left, right? And the woke left is an identitarian movement whose oppressor is cis white males, capitalism, and general conservatism.
Yep.
So their
values.
Yeah, so their solution to that problem. Now remember, woke, awake, identitarian, oppressed people. Solution for the left is socialism, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay, that's woke left in a nutshell. What is the woke right? The woke right is an identitarian movement of people who think that their oppressor are globalists and Jews, and their solution to the problem is nationalism or ultranationalism, right? It's a mirror image of the left. It's horseshoe theory, right? So when you understand what woke right means, which is an ultra-nationalist, identitarian victim group who believes that they're being oppressed, then you actually can deal with it the same way you deal with the left, right? You just basically say, okay, I'm just going to point out how ridiculous you are. But they also don't live in reality because everything's based on emotion and identity, right? Everything's hyperfixated on race. Everything's hyperfixated on like nationality or religion or literally an identity, like immutable characteristics, like brown, black, white, et cetera, et cetera. They don't actually give a shit about Americans, right? Like, because there are black people who are American. There are gay people who are American. They're just as American as you and me because they're fucking American.
I don't know about that, but yeah. I don't know about that, but yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you get my point, right? These people are not, they're not an America First movement. They're a woke movement, right? So their goal is actually just the same goal as the woke left, to radically and fundamentally change the country to their utopia of ultranationalism, right? Just like the left's goal is to fundamentally change America to their utopia of socialism. So that's the goal. And the only way that you get to that is by actually understanding what the movement is, right? And that's why you have Nick Fuentes saying, we should stay home and or vote for Gavin Newsom, right? Because now what they've become is accelerationists. They actually want to accelerate the downfall of America so they can pick up the pieces and rebuild. And then what we have is Thomas Massey, who's like, what we should do? We should align with the left and we should all get together and do the Democrats, because there's this, it really is a mind virus that feeds off of emotion and tribalism. Right. That's how the left got indoctrinated. That's how the right got indoctrinated. It's targeted at weak-minded people who have a misguided view of the world, where your people group is the most important thing, right? Not God, not family, not country, your people group, your tribe, white people, Catholics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just like the left, right? The trans movement. 1% of the population causes a fuck ton of problems, because They're the loudest. They're the most emotional. They're the most angry. They're the most radicalized. And that's really what woke right is. And like I said, their goal is the destruction of what we know as America. None of them are conservative. They don't want to conserve anything. They want to burn it down.
Yeah. And for those of you out there that have a brain between your ears, I think we all realize that if that's not going to happen. This is not going to get burnt down. We're not going to have a civil war. What we're going to have is the bigger problems that we have. And we're just going to, like you said, accelerate toward a point where America no longer exists as we know it. There will be no, us emerging from the flames like a freaking phoenix. All right. It is going to be, now we've burnt this all down, and now we have countries like China taking over and moving in, and America's gone after that. And that's what people need to realize. And I think you're right. I think they believe that, like, hey, we can make this election so bad that we're just going to, and Nick Fuentes, by the way, said this exact same thing. He said, what we'll do is we'll burn it all down, and then what I want you to do is vote in Nazis. That's what we need. He literally said that.
And he thinks that strategy will work. I think that he truly believes that because he's an idiot, right? And the irony here is this psyop is pretty much following suit with like the Red Green Alliance, right? Where neither side seems to have any threat matrix with Islam or communist China, right? Where it's like the two major threats to the actual United States of America, those aren't the problem. No, it's a democracy in the Middle East whose government is 120 fucking people. Yeah. Right? Like it's literally a country the size of New Jersey. That's the problem, right? Yep. Or the Jew, or 0.02% of the global population, 2% of the US population. That's the problem. It's ridiculous, right? Because if you take 10% of Muslims around the world and you say that 10% are radicalized, which is a pretty decent estimate, maybe even low, you have 2 million. No, I'm sorry. You have 200 million terrorists in the world. Right. Yeah. So 200 million terrorists in the world. It only took like 16 of them to take down the World Trade Center. So I think that our focus should be on the threat to the world, which is the rise of global jihad, the rise of communism, the rise of socialism, those three things, as opposed to the Jews, the globalists, right? Or the capitalists or the white man. It's like everything the woke right and the woke left is afraid of is not the problem.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I've said that it is odd that all of these people, not only do they want you to avert your attention away from Islam and the real threat that it is, and China, like, they're constantly protecting Islam and saying, just like you said, no, the real problem is the Jews over here. Yeah. Like, it makes zero sense when you look at it. And I know they want to convince you that the Jews run everything and every cabal of evil conspiracy is, started by the Jews. Like, it's just mind-numbingly stupid.
I think that if Jeffrey Epstein's last name was like Schmidt or something, we wouldn't even have this conversation. I think that that's honestly one of the biggest reasons why there's so many people hyperfixated on Jeffrey Epstein, was because they think that they could tie him to Israel. I think that that's honestly, I think that that's part of it, because, and sure enough, you dig into the emails and he's like, I fucking hate Israel. Some of his associates are Muslim. It's like, guys, how are you wrong all the time?
And that's the thing. You can think whatever you want that, Jeffrey Epstein was involved with Mossad, or that was a Mossad operation.
Probably was.
I've said this 100 times. There is a zero chance that you had the heads of states and all of these important people in American society going to Epstein Island, hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein without the CIA knowledge.
Yeah.
The zero chance. NSA
knowledge.
I am more convinced than ever that this was a government ran operation. U.S. government ran operation. Now, Mossad could be involved. Could have been a joint operation. Like, there's a lot of overlapping objectives there, but there is zero chance that the U.S. government didn't know about what was going on with the Epstein.
100%. And look, and this is the thing with the problem is I can acknowledge that, right? I mean, the evidence actually points way more to MI6 as the main handler, right? But even so, right, I would say that there's, like you said, a 0% chance that the two top spy organizations in the world didn't know about this, right? Mossad, CIA, MI6, those big three. I can acknowledge that and also say that I don't think that this is something that we're going to solve, right? I don't think that I think that a logical person would say, over the past 20 years, did they figure out how to work a paper shredder? Right? Okay, I'm pretty sure they did. Hillary Clinton bleeded 30,000 emails in like a day. Yep. I'm pretty sure that whatever is left in the Epstein files is just a bunch of bullshit. It's a wild goose chase. It's the breadcrumbs they left to take you away from things, which is why every Democrat voted for it, so they could direct it at Trump. And that's why I'm saying maybe we should not even worry about this, because we have the SAVE Act. We have to win the midterms. We have to save the country. We have to keep this fight going. This fight is every day for the rest of your life. This is only a republic if you can keep it. And you have people who are literally like actively arguing that we sit on the sidelines because some dead pedophile from 20 years ago knew some rich people who fuck some kids.
Yeah. And we haven't even seen any evidence of that in there. Like, look,
really, we haven't.
And understand evidence.
Yes,
like,
we've seen the claims.
There's some claims in there. There's some testimony corroborated by nothing. And look, I said this last night. We all thought that we were going to get the Epstein files, and what we thought the Epstein files was a bunch of bedroom videos, clearly of Bill Clinton, and you can say George. Name the person you don't like. And we have clear evidence of them doing some really horrible stuff. That's what we thought we were going to get. That's not what's in there. And by the way, those files at a minimum sat with the Biden administration. We have no idea. We have no chain of custody of what took place with those files. We don't know what was put in there. We don't know what was taken out of there.
Yeah, we got Bush, Clinton, Biden.
At this point, the only thing that's left is, like you said, is misinformation, disinformation, and distraction from what's going on. What I can say definitively is that, again, the Democrats had 4 years to release that. And if there was anything in there, Obama had access to that information, Hillary Clinton had access to that information. When Trump was running in 2016, if there was anything in there that would have got him investigated and or ultimately charged with anything, they would have pulled that out.
You think they threw 90 something charges at him for a freaking check, the byline on a check, and not the Epstein files? Come on. Yeah. And it's like, it's like we've talked about several times in this conversation. It's so blatantly obvious. I don't understand how more people don't see it, right? Because we all saw the COVID hoax, right? We all got it. We were all like, really? A brand new like novel virus that we're just going to all put 2 masks on and we're going to be safe and 2 weeks to slow spread, and everybody called bullshit on that, but they don't see this as bullshit as well. It's disheartening to see that people can clearly recognize one psyop and not the other.
It really is. And that's kind of what we were talking about ahead of this, is that Americans were so traumatized from the psyop that we had going on with COVID. And there's so many people that were like, including me, that I've been saying it for the last, 30 years, by the way. Like, I don't trust the government. We shouldn't trust the government. We hell shouldn't trust the government creating, some vaccine that has been tested and then forced upon us, and then you can't go anywhere without it. I agree with all that stuff. Then we have January 6th. We have the election of 2020 that was clearly stolen, and more information about that's coming out. That was hidden by both the left and the right for different reasons. So, no, we shouldn't trust the government. But what we also need to know is that we sure as hell shouldn't trust social media. And just because that we have the government lie to us about something, again, you got to assess these things individually and objectively.
Just trust your own research, your own critical thinking, your own deductive reasoning. The information is out there. Put it together yourself, and then that's your answer.
Yeah, right? and by the way, do it with a little bit of discipline. Don't come to a conclusion first and then try to find the evidence. Stay objective and just stay neutral until you find evidence that brings you somewhere. And like you and I talked about, it's like, now we have the right saying that for instance, the Charlie Kirk assassination is this big government conspiracy. Like, these aren't even the same people that were running the government during COVID. That's why we booted them out. Now, I'm not saying that they're not they're not capable of doing something like that, but we have zero evidence. And by the way, the same people that were running the government during COVID in the Biden years are now out of government, and they're the ones that are pushing this stuff, whether you realize it or not. They're the ones that are trying to get the right fractured. They're the ones behind this current psyop, and you need to wake up and figure out what's going on. And just, again, all you got to do is look at the evidence.
So that's the thing, right? Reactionary, like, if you're a reactionary, right, you may have a valid reason for being a reactionary, but your reaction may not be valid, right? Like, dismissing everything the government tells you, even when it seems pretty legitimate, like Tyler Robinson, DNA found on the gun. We saw the fucking picture of him there. We saw him running across the roof. We know that his parents turned him in. We know that he admitted to it, to his parents, to his trans boyfriend. We know so many factors. We saw the gun. We saw the hole. We saw everything. And then the government goes, by the way, that's also what we think. And you go, oh, no. Now I don't believe it because the government told me. It's like, no, dude, it's like, we saw it too. Like, you don't have to trust the government there. Trust your own eyes. Trust your own research. It's like, you don't have to go, that text message doesn't look. And Candace Owens getting owned by CNN of all people, where there, she's like, yeah, the signal chat didn't have timestamp. She goes, that was a text message. She's like, no, it wasn't. He's like, yeah, it was.
they were Discord. She thought they were
Discords. That's right.
Yeah, and she didn't even, like, that's the thing. She has such a periphery knowledge of what's going on, and there's a reason. Folks, there's a reason why she's omitted so much information. There's a reason why she never went through these charging documents, only had bullet points that she wanted her viewers to see. There's a reason why she's never had any sort of eyewitnesses on, multiple eyewitnesses like we have. There's a reason why she's never been there. There's a reason why she never showed you the staircase that goes right up to the roof, so that she can continue to push the notion that, oh, he was some sort of Spider-Man, scaling the rooftops. No, he walked on the rooftops.
Yeah.
Like, it's folks, we are being manipulated like we've never been manipulated before. And unfortunately, because of all the distrust that the left put upon us, now the left is taking advantage of that.
Oh, they're
and
playing
trying to convince you that the government and the people, and they're not all good, and I have a lot of things to criticize with the Trump administration on. We can go through that and litigate that if you'd like. But the people that you put into office, the left has convinced you that they're the actual ones that are evil. They're the ones that killed Charlie Kirk, not the people that planned it, talked about it, and celebrated it. They're the people that you put into office. They're turning you against. And by the way, now they're trying to tell you that you shouldn't vote for them. You shouldn't vote in 2028. So get more leftists inside the government. They can have another 2 years to impeach Donald Trump, to stop any success that we have, and then ultimately get another leftist in at 2028. So we can go back to our country being flooded with immigrants, gun rights being taken away, freedom of speech being removed. Like, that's what they want.
It's funny. The left created a government you couldn't trust. Okay. And then they tried to impeach and assassinate the guy who you tried to put in to stop the government. And then when you got him in, the left says, don't trust the government. And you go, oh, that's right. We don't trust the government. It's like, no, it's not this government. It's different. He's there to stop the government. You forgot the part where you voted him in, didn't you? You skipped a step.
It really is. I mean, it's so comical. And if it wasn't so serious, it would be super funny. But it is serious. And we got a lot.
Well, like you said earlier, man, the best way to fight this is with counter program. Like, you have to just look. I believe, I still call me an optimist. I believe that in the end, truth wins out, right? So if you have people like you and me, Sean Farish, Dan Bongino, a bunch of others. There are plenty of others who are really doing the right thing. Charlie Kirk, most important of all. If you have people like us out there, people like Candace Owens will never succeed in the long term, right? They might succeed in the short term. They might get wins, but they don't win overall, because here's the thing. I don't know if you guys know this. People don't like being fucking lied to. Yeah. They really don't. Dumb people don't even like being lied to. especially dumb people. If you think about it, where did that poem First They Came for the Socialists come from, right? First they come for the socialists because the socialists were the ones that believed them. And they would be the most upset when they found out that they were bamboozled, because that's the easiest person to take out, the unarmed idiot.
Yep.
So you got to remember that your truth is worth 10 lies.
Well, and I just hope that we don't all realize that the truth wins and people like you and I were right as we're sitting in the rubble of what's left.
I'm
in
in
the-
my fucking tree stand, dude. I got a fucking Scar 20S and I got a lot of fucking ammo.
We'll compare stashes after this. But yeah, look, and here's the other part of this, folks. The reason this Candace psyop and the left psyop is so effective is because all the followers, whether you're talking about Democrats or you're talking about Candace, whatever else, the reason they're so powerful is because they have an army behind them. And one of the things that I want to encourage people on the right to do, and we can build our own cult if you want to call it, but the cult of truth. And that is you guys have to become as radical, and I mean this in a good way, motivated and outspoken as the left. And like, we got to get more people, because we as conservatives, like, we just want to do our own thing. We want to be left alone. And unfortunately, that's putting our heads in the sand, taking care of our own thing. That's how we're going to lose this. Like, and there's many people out there right now that are watching this, folks. If you have it in your heart, or you feel a calling to get behind the camera and start speaking, number one, let me know. I'll help you. I bet Zach would help you.
I will.
Like, we need more people out there. And there's a lot of, there are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, or 100 Charlie Kirks out there that can do this stuff much more effective than Zach and I can. And you are hesitant to get out there. And yeah, it's going to suck at first. You're not going to have that many followers. You got to go.
I started with 0 followers. Everyone started with 0 followers. And the reason the saying goes, the reason they shot Charlie Kirk is not because he spoke, it's because people listened, right? And why did they take out Charlie Kirk? Why was he the biggest threat? Because he was speaking to the youth. He was on campus speaking to the youth. And that is where the demons went. The demons went after the youth because they're the most gullible. People like Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens go after the most gullible. They go after the people who don't have life experience yet. We do. Right. Yeah. So we're a bigger threat. They can't take us. Right. So we need to give our knowledge to those people before some fucking demon comes in there and fucks with their head. And that's literally what we're talking about with pick up the fucking microphone, man. And if you have trouble picking up the microphone, ask me, ask him. How did you do it? I go, oh, well, here's how I formatted my show. I type in the word news. That's literally it. Right? On my podcast, I type in the word news and I read it like Walter fucking Cronkite, and I give you my opinion on it. It's not hard. I don't have to research or know everything. I can just say, well, this is what they're saying is what happened. I have common sense and critical thinking. I can tell you what's probably bullshit and what's probably not. It's really that simple.
Yeah. The more voices we have on the side, even if you start out small, the small voices. And again, it's the reason this entire thing feels so powerful coming from Candace and the left too, is because there's so many small voices out there attacking us or pushing their stuff. And I think a lot of it is perception doesn't actually match to reality. I don't think it's as big as it looks because of bots, because of all these small people out there, just all their sycophant followers. But the more people we have on our side speaking truth to lies, the better off. And it's Candace today. It's going to be somebody else or something else tomorrow. And like, we got to wake up and start. And the other thing too, like, you got to start focusing on what this Trump administration has done. They've actually accomplished a lot.
Whole ton. So much.
And he's going to cover it in the State of the Union tonight. And I'm going to go through, I'm going to hit these 10 things that I covered the other day, but I think it's worth hitting again because we have a lot to lose. And just losing what we've gained during this last, 13, 14 months, if this administration, like, it's that would be a big loss, folks.
Yeah.
Like,
And the other thing that you guys can do is don't just talk and don't just tweet. You got to do something. To hit up Turning Point, hit up Early Vote Action, find out who is your local rep and see if you can door knock. I'm going to be door knocking for Brandon Herrera. He's in Texas 23. A friend of mine created 1854project.com. I'm creating midtermcheatsheet.com. Conservatives who stay home elect Democrats. Okay.
Yep.
So make sure you're actually taking part in the process. You should be looking at your local judges. You should be looking at your local district elections, your school board. Who the hell is in your community?
George Soros is doing all those things. They're looking
exactly.
at
they're not fucking stopping, man. And we can't just show up every 4 years and vote for Trump and then say, oh well, everything's going to be fixed. And now bitch when it's not perfect, right? Because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to demoralize you because they know that we don't turn out the way they do. And if they can just eke in, because they're terrified of this SAVE Act. They're terrified of the SAVE Act. They are terrified of the SAVE Act. They think the only way they can win now, because they don't have a message, is getting you to sit on your ass on November 4th or whenever that date is. So make sure you're doing that.
Couldn't have said that any better. But yeah, folks, whatever you got to do, get out there, put a phone in front of your face, do it on TikTok, do it on YouTube, X, whatever's comfortable. But just like Zach said, the other important part of that is making sure that you're doing something substantive in your home state. And that was one of the things that, like, I'm from Texas, by the way, or I grew up there.
Yeah, I'm in San Antonio.
But I live just in West Virginia. I live right on the border of I'm like 20 minutes I'm 20 minutes away from Maryland. I'm like 20 minutes away from Virginia. And we live in a very conservative area. And then suddenly we realized what was going on locally and within our own school board. And, we have a very conservative towns that, like, the public schools are actually pretty good until you get to high school, which is why my high schooler is homeschooled. But my wife and I, we realized, like, we screwed up. We haven't been active in these local politics. And I've always been interested and pay attention to, the national politics, but you got to get active in those local politics, because you can take a great town like I live in and a couple of school board members, a mayor, and a couple other turds, like, screw it all up. And the next thing you know, all these crazy policies are being implemented in your schools because they're working hard. You better be indoctrinating your kids.
Oh yeah,
everyone else,
because they will
if you don't.
But I was looking for, like, apps. This is called ActiveVote. It's nothing special, but just like this app right here, if you go to officials, right, and it starts with Trump and everything, but it actually puts in your district. If you go all the way down here, all these blue people are Democrat judges, and this is in San Antonio where I live. Look at that: blue, 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 blue. Finally, red, blue, red.
Those are all the ones that are in office right now.
Yes. And so download ActiveVote, go fill out the political matrix, right? And then go to your officials. It'll show you the officials in your district. It'll show you what races are coming up. It'll show you where to vote. It'll show you these things. Like, this is how you get involved. It's really not that hard, by the way, right? It takes 5 minutes to walk into a polling station. In these, like, in the big elections where there's like a 15-20 minute line, a regular, local election, it takes 5 minutes tops to go in and out of the polling station.
Yeah,
it's like filling up gas.
If you are not aware of the SAVE Act, it's Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. You better be talking to all of your Congress folks out there to make sure that we push this through. But basically, it's going to force everybody to have a documentary proof requirement, basically have an ID, in-person verification. Penalties.
And it's going to criminalize. It's going to the biggest thing. It's going to criminalize a polling official who registers somebody who should not be registered. That's the big one. So that means it will stop illegal immigration with that, because it's literally going to be a federal crime to register an illegal to vote.
That'll be a big push. And again, just having some sort of ID is required. I just shared something. I think it was on Facebook the other day. Somebody sent to me. They were talking about all the requirements to actually sign your kid up for local baseball. So Little League had more requirements, and they were more concerned about ensuring that some kid from out of town isn't playing in your current league than we are about electing someone that's going to have access to our nuclear arsenal. That's how ridiculous this
Did you
is.
see the snow? Did you see the snow shoveling thing in New York, where they have to have 2 forms of ID and a social security card to shovel snow? So, you haven't seen this? So Mom Donnie comes out and he goes, if you guys want to shovel snow and make up to $30 an hour, show up at the city hall with 2 forms of ID and your social security card, and you can shovel snow. And so I immediately, everybody immediately was like, oh, so you need ID to shovel snow, but not to vote. But I pointed out very quickly the reason why they do that, right? The reason why that is a requirement is because it is a federal crime for the government to pay an undocumented immigrant as an employee, and they would have been absolutely fucked. So what Zohran Mamdani, the guy who doesn't think you should have voter ID to vote, was saying was, look, the ID works. It's like if you really want to stop illegals from participating in a governmental process, an ID is how you do that. It's how we prevent ourselves from being sued. And it's literally 2 forms of ID and your social security card. If you don't have all 3 of those things, you can't shovel snow. But nothing to vote.
Well, my biggest thing in the thing that they're pushing, of course, is that it's racist if we require an ID. But Here's the thing. Every single subsidy, whether it's SNAP, welfare, Medicaid, picking up prescriptions, all of that requires an ID. So I guess it's racist if you require an ID for people that are so impoverished they need food provided by the government, an EBT card.
It's so blatantly
Medicare,
obvious.
Medicaid. You can't participate in society without ID, and 84% of Americans agree.
Yeah, it's an 80. It literally is an 80-20 issue, higher than an 80-20 issue. And calling it Jim Crow 2.0, it's like
Chuck Schumer.
Yeah, it's I think that I know that people aren't that stupid. So people who are watching this are watching the Democrats actively try to steal the next election, and I think they're going to reject it, and I think it's actually going to backfire.
Well, I think the Democrats have been using voter fraud for a long time to win elections, and the reality is that voter fraud is extremely, given the current rules and regulations, and in some states it's illegal for them to even ask for an ID.
Yes,
it is
California.
so easy to pull off voter fraud, and it's so difficult to prove, which is why so many Republicans didn't want to touch it in 2020. It's not the only reason. We should have went after it, but the fact is we do not have secure elections, and the Democrats been taking advantage of that for a really long time, and that's how Joe Biden had more votes than any person that has ever existed as a president.
10 fucking million more. It's like 10 million more than Obama. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, State of the Union's in 20 minutes. Yeah, want to wrap it up?
Yeah, man. Let me hit these last couple of
Go ahead. Take your time. I'm just going to get something to eat before that starts.
No worry. G.I. Jen, judge denied a motion to kick current DA off case. And I'll do it. Help a girl. I'm not sure which.
Know what that's in reference to.
You're saying, I think she's saying that she wants to get on social media. Tammy, let me know. I'll help you all the way. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Be able to too.
Yeah, follow me on. Somebody in the chat was asking where my social medias are. Beacons.ai/the Misfit Patriot. And anybody that follows me, send me a DM if you need any help, any advice. I'm happy to help too.
Yeah, and again, down in the description, I know a lot of people don't know how to get to the description, of course, and I don't even know that there is a description in X, but if you're watching YouTube, if you click on the title of the video, it will open up, it'll expand out, and you'll see his links down there. And also become a member. If you're not already, go to X, make sure you're following me, make sure you're following Zach, the Misfit Patriot. And on top of that, if you want to help us out, I'm sure he has subscriptions as well. It's a couple bucks a month, and it goes a long way to support.
Yeah, I think it's $4 for my X, or you can, there's a link for buy me a coffee, but I don't care too much about the money thing. I have a real job. Unfortunately, I have to build bathrooms and do all sorts of remodels and stuff. But you know, I do this for fun, and it was a hobby. And then, like I said at the beginning of this episode, why do I do this? I wasn't lying. I exist out of spite. But it's really what I believe that is the minimum requirement,
I
right?
agree.
Is just using your voice. It's like the minimum. It's the least, it's literally the least I can do is spend a couple hours here and there talking to people about what I believe, which is we have to fight for this country and fight for what this country actually is. And what I believe it is the greatest nation in the world. And I think it will be as long as we can keep it. So that's what we're doing.
And I couldn't agree more. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree. And folks, you're gonna have haters out there, and
Oh yeah.
you know, until you get to a point to where if they're not making memes about you and they're not making AI videos about you, and
If they are not manipulating Grok to call you a pedophile, you are not trying hard enough.
you
Right?
have not arrived yet, but you will get there.
Yes,
You'll
if
get
you are not in litigation, if you are not in the preliminary steps of suing the biggest social media platform in the world, you're not trying hard enough.
exactly. Well, listen, Zach, we really appreciate you coming on.
This was great, man.
We got to do this again sometime.
Absolutely.
Folks, I'm just going to keep this stream up. So here in about 15 minutes, I'm probably going to just take a quick break. You can take a quick break. I'm going to just, again, leave this up. We're going to cover the State of the Union right here live. Zach, I don't know if you got something else. You're welcome to come back.
No, I'm gonna head out, but you know what? I'll pop into the chat maybe and say what's up.
Sounds great.
All right, brother. Thanks for having me on. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on.
All right.
All right, folks, if you guys got any other questions, let me know. We covered a lot. That was fun. That was a good, energetic discussion. But again, what I'm going to do is we'll take just about a 15-minute break. I'm going to leave this up. You leave it up. Don't go anywhere. And we'll come back and we will cover the State of the Union. And we appreciate you guys. So take a little break. Go get something to eat. Go get something to drink. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go empty my bladder, and I'll talk to you guys back here in 15 minutes. All right, folks, I'm back. What's happening? I don't think this actually starts till 9 Eastern time. Looking at what we got here. Let me share this tab instead, and I will add that to it. If that's the case, and I think that is, yeah, let's do this, folks. You know what? I'm going to shut down this live stream, and then what we're going to do is I will put up a new live stream, and we'll probably get started at like 8:45, 8:50, something like that. So stand by and wait for a new live stream that we will relaunch. Yeah, 9 Eastern. I think that is correct. So Continue Freedom's on there. As a matter of fact, Continue Freedom, shoot me a text if you want to. You'd be a great co-host for this. Anyways, yeah, I don't want to sit through a pregame. Let's do like a 8:30. Yeah, let's do 8:30. Let's do it 8:30, 8:45. I don't know. I'll make that decision. It'll either be 8:30, 8:45. Let's come back around then. You'll see the live stream when it's ready to go. I'll make that decision between now and then. And we're going to shut this down and restart it. Give everybody some time, a little break. I'm tired of hearing my own voice. I'm sure you are too. Anyways, folks, we appreciate you tuning in and all that you do. Let me just double check to make sure I don't miss any other super chats. I think we're good. Until next time, until the next 15 minutes, stay armed. 30 minutes. Stay armed. Stay ready. We'll talk to you.